Hello, everyone. My name is Elizabeth, the Education Coordinator for Marlene's Market and Deli. Today's special guest that we have with us is Mag Secretario. He is a health coach and co-creator of GoodLifeSleep. Thank you so much for joining us, Mag.
Thank you, Elizabeth and Marlene's, for this opportunity over the past few years, right?
Oh,
So I
yes,
really,
yes.
I
It's
really
always a
appreciate
pleasure
it.
working with you, and you have so much amazing expertise to share with everyone today.
Yes, thank you, thank you. There's some people entering, and if you see me just clicking to admit them, I'll do that if I'm able. So thank you so much again. Allow me to share my screen because I love being able to share visuals with my work because I'm a visual person. And of course, images and pictures do indeed speak, 1,000 words. So uh, I'll keep it as simple as possible. So let me begin here. Of course, this disclaimer, this is educational purposes only. So any things related to your health, please refer to your GP or your doctor. Okay, now let's see if I can get past this part here. This is the uh, the technical part here where I'm trying to advance my screen. So just bear with me. Okay, bear with me here, please. I always have a little challenge with this. And Elizabeth and I were talking earlier about the fact that it was a full moon yesterday. So we can always blame a full moon for technical issues, right? So bear with me. I don't know what's going on here. Sorry, Elizabeth.
Have you tried the down arrow key?
Yeah, I don't see one on my screen at the moment.
Oh, maybe on
Um,
the keyboard?
on the keyboard. Yes, I did it in the past. Oh, here it is. Now it's working fine. Thank you. Thank you.
Yay! You're so
So,
welcome.
okay. Yes, right. Let's see. Let's make this, we'll get caught up here. Yes, thank you. And welcome to the Happiness Play Shop. It's a great pleasure to be here. As Elizabeth mentioned, I'm a health coach, but I'm focused on an area of health that we often forget, which is sleep. And so why am I doing a play shop on happiness? Well, they are connected. And also because tomorrow is the International Day of Happiness. And I'll share more about that in just a second. But I'm here to share why happiness is important to you, because it impacts how you feel, how the people around you and your clients, your business, how it does as well. It impacts every aspect of our life, really. So I'm here to share what I know about this area. And my intention is always to inspire greater sleep, health, and energy so you can really be the best that you can be. And, I've helped many coaches in the area of sleep, but sleep or happiness, like sleep, is one of these things that we often forget about. And it can actually take us to the next level of our being. So I want to share that with you. So, and as I mentioned, tomorrow is the International Day of Happiness, and the theme this year is happiness for everyone in the Ukraine. So every year on March 20th, This is timed with the spring equinox as well. So since 2012, the UN has decided to celebrate happiness because it's that important to everyone. It's a human right. And so during these times, we're experiencing some very difficult times the past few years, and now in Ukraine, we the UN has decided that this will be the theme for this year, starting tomorrow. So, but I also wanted you to download the playbook if you haven't done so, and you can do this at any time if you're catching the recording. Elizabeth has a link for it down either below and also in the post or the emails that she had sent out to you. Thank you, Elizabeth. So it's just a little playbook to guide us on our journey here. So be sure to download that when you can. Minimize distractions, stay hydrated. We'll have a little fun. So again, if you're wondering why you're unhappy, believe me, you're not alone, right? Because there are so many people feeling stress and challenges around their life. There's been a 50% increase in unhappiness since the 90s when they started surveying happiness across the world. And I learned this from my own experiences the hard way, that our emotional health, especially our happiness, is so important and impacts every aspect of our well-being. You can be healthy, physically fit, and be unhappy. And we know this is true for so many people. So if you're not alone anyway. So, but you might also be wondering what you could do to be happier, and we'll share more about what surveys and polls have told us. So, if learning about happiness can change your world and people around you, it wouldn't it be worth it? I mean, it takes a little practice, a little work, but first we have to focus on ourselves to be happy, then we can help others, right? Remember, put your oxygen mask on first, right? So, and of course, if you want to do more in your life, whatever it is you do, imagine feeling your best. You're happy, you're healthy, you are doing things at a higher level, right? You have boundless energy. And although emotionally healthy people still feel stress and anger, depression, anxiety, what's important to know is that they are aware of their emotions, whether they're positive or negative, and they're better able to control their thoughts and feelings. So this is what I'm hoping to share with you. So if you believe that happiness is important to you and people around you, then you are exactly at the right place at the right time. So in this play shop, I'm going to share a few strategies. I call them plays from the playbook, so you can create more happiness in your life. And of course, I'll show you how you can take it further if you want to. So here we are. What we're going to learn today, and hopefully 30 minutes, why happiness is important to you, and understanding what this is. Each play will focus on an aspect of happiness, so that you'll learn as many different strategies. But we also need to kind of understand the basic concepts of happiness and some of the science behind it. So we'll definitely touch on some of the science, not too much, hopefully, and practices, because that's what this is. It's about practices, creating habits. And what we hope to learn is that your happiness equals your health on many different levels. So let's go for it. All right, I'm Mag, and I am a personal energy and potential coach. And I help educate and inspire people around sleep, health, and energy. So, you could be the best you can be. You can live your full potential. And I do this at the intersection of kind of modern lifestyle and ancient wisdom, the East and the West, the art and the science. I bring my passion to help you live your highest potential through sleep, but also other aspects of our health, different levels and dimensions. So, you know, good life sleep, it means a good life through good sleep, and it focuses on sleep. But, as we'll learn in this workshop on play shop, sorry, on happiness, that how sleep is actually connected to it. So, yeah. So I, I, you might be wondering why I'm here, because I'm a health coach, but I'm talking about sleep and so forth and happiness. Um, well, uh, years ago, my wife and I moved to London. We wanted to spend the millennium year there. And, my wife is from Madrid, Spain. So she was literally my ticket to life in Europe. So, we were so excited to live in the most exciting capital city in the world and travel throughout Europe. Um, I worked as a designer in the health and wellness and luxury beauty industry. I traveled internationally on some of these projects. I helped bring Whole Foods to London once upon a time, and I worked for the UK's #1 leading retailer. And my wife was a respected beauty therapist, and she had Boy George and Ginger Spice as clients one time. We thought life was pretty cool, exciting, and I thought I experienced some degree of success, right? But until I didn't. um, so I was having a lot of sleepless, restless nights, um, bouts of depression. I was stressed because of a job that I was feeling stuck in. And I was feeling undermined. I was feeling actually, um, I was I had a manager who was acting like a bully, and I'm trying to reframe this positively because I don't want to say that he's a bully, but he acted like a bully. And 9 years, I was just, I was totally stressed out and ended up burning out. So, that took me to, another place, a dark place. So, um, if this sounds familiar to anyone, I'm sure people in the corporate world know this. So it had been building up for a long time. I didn't realize that even though I ate healthy, I exercised, I practiced martial arts, I grew my own food, I didn't realize I wasn't sleeping enough. So I, was having problems managing the stress because of that. And soon I was hitting rock bottom. Let's see here. Just now I'm having some difficulty changing the slide again. Let's see. What can I do? Bear with me once more.
Is the down arrow not working again?
Yeah, it's not working now.
Oh
Let
no.
me, yeah, that's odd today, isn't it? I mean, we have, oh,
Oh,
okay,
there it goes.
that worked differently actually. That was a click on my mouse pad here. But anyway,
Oh,
um, yeah. So yeah, I was having nightmares about work, about my boss. I was distressed, and it's not a good place to be, right? And I was on my way home and thinking about jumping in front of my train. It was, that bad. I hadn't had those thoughts for many, many years, and I was just in a bad state. So I ended up in A&E or emergency that day because my heart was racing so fast. I thought I was having like a heart attack. So I checked in and they checked my heart. It was okay, but they put me on sick leave, or I put myself on sick leave, and they put me on antidepressants for 6 months took me over a year to get over them. But yeah, I was in a bad shape. And, of course, um, my wife was, oops, this is something that I learned about during my time off. It was called binge watching. I'd never done that before. And I watched all 5 seasons of Breaking Bad. Not the best therapy when you're depressed, but that's was my experience. But I also had the wonderful, chance to read Ariana Huffington's book. It's the first time I read one of her books, and it was perfect timing. 2014, I had the time to read it, and I learned that I had to reprioritize my own definition of success in my own life. And then in the same year, in the same time that I, took time off, I met my entrepreneur mentor, Roger James Hamilton. And I followed him for several years. And I thought, well, the most powerful thing I learned from him was to solve a meaningful problem. And as an entrepreneur, I was always entrepreneurial in the things, even things that we were doing, even while I held a job. And I had a skincare product that I was trying to sell. And I mentioned this to him, and he said that actually it was better to solve a problem than to sell any product. And so I described the product, a skincare product that you use at night while you sleep. And then we both realized a problem worth solving: sleep, which is huge. And it was my problem, and I didn't know it. So, fast forward, eventually I went back to work. I had a much nicer boss then. I was already making my plans. We were going to leave Europe in a year. And so we were in the process of doing that. We sold our properties abroad and moved back to Seattle. And I literally woke up because this was the time that I realized that, taking care of my health and my sleep was my highest priority. Because without it, you couldn't do anything that you love to do. Nothing. Doesn't matter who you are. You just can't go all the time. So I made that a priority. And then I discovered, health coaching. And I joke about it, but, it took me 25 years in my, over 25 years in my career as a designer to realize my true purpose was not design, but it was to help people, help others with their health, so they don't experience the same things I went through. And 25 years, okay, that's, it's never too late to start new, I believe. So I became a health coach and life coach, and I focus on sleep. But I realized there's so many different things, it's all connected. So, and then, of course, I had to redefine my own definition of success, which was not what I had thought before. So here we are. We'll begin this play shop. So as any play shop, we have rules of engagement: be open-minded, respect. And I say that because at the time I created this, one of my favorite artists, Aretha Franklin, had passed away. So I put her into my presentation. And so, it's a permanent fixture in this play shop. So these are just some of the contents in the larger mini course I call the Play Shop, Happiness Play Shop. We're going to focus just on a few of these. So sorry that went by so fast, but there are 12 different strategies, and these are all based on and inspired by the most popular course at Yale University. I was fortunate to take an online version of it, and which is psychology and the psychology of the good life, I think it was. But the main thing, the most important thing, is that these are proven strategies and that have helped others over long periods of time. So let's start here. Great question is, why is this important to you? So I'll help answer that. But let's start first with a problem that we have, which is, some of the statistics that are out there. And these are, fairly old now, but it's on the climb as far as antidepressant use. So, according to, data from the CDC, um, most Americans are generally not getting happier. Um, Depression is a major burden on society. It affects over 350 million people globally, and it's increasing every year. So these aren't great stats, but in particular, which was interesting to me, was that um, you know, although people aren't getting enough treatment, especially when they're young, poor, or members of a minority group. So that's relevant to me because I grew up like that. But anyway, the another very strong reason that happiness is important is because suicide is now the 10th leading cause of death in the US. Now that was a few years ago, so I'm sure that that is increased as well. And the stats on this is incredible. It's the second leading cause of death for people between 15 and 29. Every 40 seconds, we lose someone to suicide. 17 vets die by suicide each day. And even though mental health awareness is growing, I believe there's still more we can do, especially as coaches and as people sharing with each other. So, we already know some well-known celebrities we thought had everything. And a couple of years ago, I lost a young cousin of mine to suicide. And that was the first in our family. So it's a real thing. So this is a beautiful Kingdom of Bhutan. I don't know if you remember this, but it came into the news back in, I don't know, I think 2012. And this was the first country, in the Himalayas, right, to adopt gross national happiness as a measure of their development. And it measures the quality of life and makes sure that the material and spiritual development happen together. So it was part of the UN's first high-level meeting about well-being and happiness in 2012. And this later became an annual publication called the World Happiness Report. So this is done every year, and it reflects a demand for the measuring of happiness and for the people and to guide public policy. So it shows how the new science of happiness explains how it varies across people and countries. And guess which country was the happiest in the world? Again, these figures are a little bit off because I haven't looked at the most recent one, but back a couple of years, Finland was named number one country in the world twice in a row, and the US dropped to number 19. So that's not good. So, I'm hoping that, we can change this. So unfortunately, many people are feeling out of balance, spinning their wheels, right? We're more tired or more stressed. We're on the road to burnout. So, I think, I believe that it's more about managing our energy, our emotions, our happiness. It's more important that we manage these things than our time, because time is fixed, it's finite, it's the same for everyone. But I truly believe it's what you bring to the table, right? It's not how fast you're moving or it's what you bring to the table every day. So that's what I mean by it's more important to manage your energy. and your energy is everything. So, this is just my belief, but as science has proven, there are some of these practices that are actually proven to increase levels of happiness. So yeah, I really believe that this is an important thing for us to know a little bit about. We all want it in our life. At the end of the day, we all want happiness and we all want health. So why not learn a little something if we can, right? So let's jump to emotions, understanding it from a very classical viewpoint, right? Is an emotion, feeling, or mood? Depends on the research you read about happiness. Surprise, anger, sadness, disgust, fear, all of these are expressed through facial expressions recognized by most people all over the world. So these are universal emotions, and they're all blended together to create such things like love, jealousy, anxiety, confusion. Imagine all of that is expressed through our faces, and it's all autonomic, meaning it's unconscious behavior or cognitive responses to an event or object or person, right? These, things that our conscious mind sometimes wants to keep hidden from our awareness. So it's like the metaphor. Here's some of the a representation of some of the universal emotions, depending on the research, right? 5 or 7 universal emotions. And but it's very much like the iceberg, the unconscious emotions underneath the water. These are things that we're not aware of, and their unconscious mind does have an influence on our behaviors. Let's see. And as well as, sorry here. Yeah. So, feelings, on the other hand, these are our conscious and physical experience of that emotion. So, they're fleeting, they're related to specific events. A conscious mind includes things like sensations, perceptions, memories, feeling, and awareness. So they both, emotions and feelings, serve as stimulus to allow us to respond appropriately. So as coaches, we learn how to pay attention to these so we can react to them and offer more choices, right? So, here we go again. Okay, so moods are, they set the threshold for emotions. It's like emotional state that lasts longer, but it's less specific and not dependent on circumstances. That they have an important impact on our mental and physical well-being and how we interact, right? So a great resource for understanding more is this film, Disney Pixar film, Inside Out. Beautiful film. It shares, what we know about emotions. It's so true. So so that's homework. And then, okay, so understanding a little bit of the neuroscience, and I'll try to make this as simple as possible because it's, it can be a bit technical, but basically this is where our understanding is coming from, both in sleep and in happiness. It's all about the brain, and, between neurobiology, neuroscience, sleep science, positive psychology, these are all new sciences around our well-being, especially the mental, emotional, spiritual side even. So so very, very quickly, the brain, as we knew or understand it, is about 3-part brain, right? The prefrontal cortex here, and then the which is the human brain. And then we're also talking about the amygdala. Let's see if I don't know if I'm going to go to all this level of detail, but in the mini play shop, we'll that's detail that would be more useful. I think I'm going to kind of shortcut this part here and just say that, between the prefrontal cortex and the limbic brain and the brainstem, they all house components like this here, the amygdala. This is the limbic system. And these impact how we process emotions. This is the brainstem, and or also known as the reptilian brain, right? So there are many different parts. The hippocampus for, that regulates emotions. The hypothalamus involved in processing these emotions and hormone release and sleep. The amygdala, as I mentioned, there are all lots of different functions to these components of the brain. But what I think is more interesting is kind of a new concept called the theory of constructed emotion. We used to think that, any anger, it comes from a specific part of the brain, but now this new concept, I believe, is like it explains the experience and perception of emotion that has challenged people, because what they're saying is that it doesn't have its own location in the brain and or its own pattern in the body. Instead, it's created by multiple brain networks working together in the same way that it creates thoughts and perceptions of the world, right? So this suggests that we construct emotions from a wide variety of sources, from our physiology to our environment and reactions to it, experiences, culture, programming, right? It's beautifully illustrated here because it's messy, like life. Life is messy. So, okay, time to play. All right, okay. This is one of the key components, right? You can't, measure what, or you can't, how do I say it again? You have to measure something, right? You have to measure where you are in order to look at it more clearly. So let's, okay. So I'll share with you just how we'll do that. But these days, or I should say, once upon a time, let's see here. Yeah, I studied psychology and I worked at the Washington State Mental Health Hospital. I mean, that was quite an experience. And this is what we studied, because this is back in those days, we studied the negative aspects of psychology, right? That's what psychology was about. But then, it was in, I think it was, where was it here? 1998, that psychologists got together on the beautiful beach in Mexico. And of course, you feel great when you're on a beach like that, right? But this is where it began. So they began to look at, what if you can, psychology used to measure how we get from, say, -5 back to 0. So they turned this on their head and was thinking, what would happen if we can get ourselves from 0 to +5, right? What would that look like? What would that be about? And so that's exactly what they started to look at. We started to look at our strength and our well-being, our happiness. This is how positive psychology was born. It studies well-being and gratitude, all these things, right? So that we could flourish. So they've created lots of studies and tests. And so that's where you'll learn in the playbook, by filling out the form, it's the satisfaction with life scale. And this is a very easy one to do. And the idea is just to measure it at the start of this, process. And then at some point measure it again, because what's been proven is after at least 7 days, longer if you can see an improvement. So, that's a wonderful thing. So there's more information in the playbook on that. You can just take that on your own. The second play is gratitude journaling. Now, lots of people have heard this before, practicing gratitude, journaling it. And it's one of the simplest and easiest things to do. My own story is with my father. He had a very, very rough childhood during World War II, and he still talks about it. He talks about the pain and suffering that he went through, coming from nothing. He had one set of clothes he had to steal for food. And I asked him if he can just be thankful, because, if we focus on what we are thankful for, hopefully we'll be happier. And it's an easy thing to say, but not an easy thing to do. But it is very important. So if you can, begin this practice in the playbook, there are prompts to help you start with journaling. So, the idea is to practice this daily. Spend 5-10 minutes each morning or each evening to write down 3 things you're grateful for. Very simple thing to do. Be, attentive to your thoughts. Use a pen on paper, and because it's not the same on our devices. There's some biochemistry that goes on when you are putting thoughts into your hands and writing them out. So there's a real benefit to that. So try that. We have learned on a neurobiology level through fMRI, imaging. So it measures brain activity, and it's been shown that gratitude stimulates important regions of our brain and regulates stress and feelings of pleasure. So, as we learn more about what the brain is doing during these types of experiences, it opens up a window to us understanding its relationship to our health, our mental health. And so, it's proven to boost, dopamine and serotonin, our feel-good hormones. So it's just one of these very simple things that we can do. So some people ask if, you could use an app to journal, but as I mentioned, writing it by hand is the best. So, and also what's very interesting is, not only it's the process of remembering to be grateful, right? Just not what you write down exactly, but the search in your mind and your heart to find the things that you are grateful for. That is important too. It doesn't matter what you are grateful for. It's the searching that counts, that process, which is fascinating to me, I think. So yeah. So in the playbook, I forget which page, but you get writing prompts again to write those things you're grateful for every day for the next 7 days. I think the book is designed to be used for. So, and then, okay, the third play, social connection. This has been a really tough one the last couple of years, right? Things are changing. Hopefully things are better, but this is so important. This, believe it or not, is a key to long life, being connected. And I'm talking physically connected to the earth, to each other. This is another aspect that we dive deeper into other things called grounding or earthing. But it's not about Wi-Fi connection, which is the state of things these days, unfortunately. But it's like deeper connection with each other. So it's become such a problem in the UK that they have a minister appointed to look after loneliness. And I know this from lots of the nurses, palliative and hospice nurses that came when my mother was alive. that many people are alone in their old age, and people die from loneliness. So this is why it's so important to be connected to people. Um, it's for our health, and it's for our, for loved ones. So yeah, it's that important. So, um, but let me share this little story here about the longest study on happiness. It's over 75 years. It's still going. It started at Harvard in the 30s. They followed some, I don't know, 724 men for 75 years. And this guy here is the fourth director of this study. So, 60 of the men were still alive in 2016, participating in the study in their 90s. And they, learned tens of thousands. I mean, they had tens of thousands of pages of information about this. And they weren't about, wealth, fame, or working harder. The message they got was that it was good relationships that make us happier. And it's not about leaning into work. It's about leaning into your relationships and your connections with family and friends and community. So that was very key. And with that, they in their studies they asked millennials. Nothing against millennials. I mean, we were all young once, and but they asked them what made them happy, right? I'm just looking for some stats. I don't have it here, but when you ask millennials what are the things that they were wanting, it was money, and of course fame, and and it's not true any longer. Um, and I think we were all kind of wishing these things to have money and to be famous. That this is what we thought was what we wanted in our life, but in reality, it's about relationships that keep us happier and healthier, right? So we know this now, and again, if um, you can change at any time in your life. We don't have to follow social norms about what is success and what is happiness. It's all different for everyone, right? So again, the most important thing is about connecting. And in the playbook, there's lots of little prompts again to help you connect and go deeper into understanding your feelings with that person. This is important process, just to go through the motions, go through the playbook, and write things down. So um, that's an important play. Now this one here is a really fun one. This savoring comes from me through the Vietnamese monk Thich Nhat Hanh, who passed away only recently. He wrote a beautiful book called Savor, and it's about being, create a longer lasting moment of positive thoughts and emotions by fully engaging and enjoying being in the present, right? So whatever it is that we're doing, um, whether it's, having a cup of coffee, right? We talked about this earlier, Elizabeth. We have our water, we have our coffee, we're good. We can savor that. And that act of savoring builds something in us. It's like mindful eating, right? If you are aware of what is in front of you, how it smells, how it tastes, these are tiny aspects that stretches out that moment of happiness. It's a wonderful way. Also, it's a healthier way of eating and being. And as far as eating, yes, there are certain foods that create kind of an environment for more happiness. Oops, sorry about that. So yeah, mind savoring can apply not only to food, but also, to the moment, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Um, Sorry about that noise there. Um, so yeah, some great, again, prompts in the playbooks that'll help you understand, enjoy every moment. So, all right, here we go. Oops, sorry. Okay, now finally, this play I wanted to share about sleep, because this past week was Sleep Awareness Week. The other day was World Sleep Day. And also the time change, which is a puzzle to me. Why do we lose 1 hour of sleep during Sleep Awareness Week when we know that all kinds of health issues happen during this week with losing 1 hour of sleep? May not seem like much, but 1 hour, if you get only 6, means that you're at risk during that whole week of being not quite 100%. And it's been proven. I did a workshop not long ago, and there was like a 24% spike in increased heart attacks and road accidents during this time change. So this week we've hopefully adjusted to it. But and I know that when you don't sleep well enough, you're not in a good mood. It's as simple as that. You can go, through the whole science and neuroscience about sleep, but we know just how we feel. And these are just things that I shared earlier. But that's the emotional brain, or the amygdala. So it acts like an accelerator, and the prefrontal cortex, the reasoning, logic, that acts like a brake. So when you're not sleeping well, that part of the brain is affected. You cannot brake, you cannot control your emotions. So yeah, but when you do get enough sleep, it has many benefits. So sleep can improve your physical performance, but also build your relationships and your health. You'll have more energy, right? You know that sleep is like the balm from a rough day before. It helps soothe things out and improves your level of happiness. It's proven. So um, it's not just sleep. Of course, there's many other aspects of our health, but do get enough sleep. And in the playbook, there is a way of tracking your sleep better than any fitness tracker, better than any Fitbit or whatever you use, because it's about, again, putting pen to paper, writing things down, journaling, a sleep journal. So there's a mini sleep journal in there. And if you tried each of these 5 plays for a week, and then measure it again, you could see a difference. But the longer you do this, the better. So, there are many other things that we can add. And I'll just touch on it briefly because, just to summarize what we have learned and then touch on some other practices, right? So we understand now a little bit more why happiness is important generally. Of course, ask yourself, what's important to you? Why is happiness important to you yourself? And you have a little bit of the science in the background and a few plays to work with. And I think we all know that when you're happy, you are healthier on all levels. This is something we always say, right? We want more happiness and health in our life, right? So now, to add to that, I would just say create your own habits, your own rituals. I call them spirituals. Laughing more, hugging. These are simple little things. This one, simple but not easy to forgive. Eating well, drinking water, which is always a good thing to do. Cheers. So, and get help. Get a friend, or get a coach, because we all need we all need a hand with things sometimes. So I really appreciate your time. And if I can answer any question or be of any service of any kind, please let me know. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much, Mag. I'm always happy to have you.
It's my pleasure. Now
Well,
I'm just
what we might do is say goodbye to our Facebook Live friends and open up the Zoom meeting for any questions.
yes, yes. Let's do that.
Goodbye, Facebook Live friends.